Hello, happy hump day, everyone. Welcome to week 8 of Queen's Ransom Live, where women talk about their all women's fantasy football league. And I am joined today by Fantasy Football Blondie. How is your week going, love?
What up? My week is going good. How's yours?
Good. Just struggling. We struggled past week 7 and the bye week from hell. We have one more of those coming up besides a few in between, but that was rough. I don't know about you.
Yes, it was very rough.
I think I actually I don't know how I managed to pull out a win. I had no one available on my bench to play. Like that's how scarce it was.
Oh, yes, that does hurt. But you know what hurts even worse is my bench. I left like over 80 points on my bench. It
Oh,
was
I think I was
so
just taking
sad.
a look at it. Who was it that I was like, oh no? Hold on.
Main one was Gibbs. Okay,
Yeah,
so we can get into this later.
yeah,
We're going over some stuff today, but yeah, Gibbs. 27 points on my bench. That was my mistake, though. I know Montgomery was out that week, but honestly, I don't know. I don't normally draft rookies to begin with, which I don't know why I drafted him. I just kind of decided to give him a chance, but
yeah.
yeah, he just, I guess, he
It's
just
well, so
popped off that week.
the hype train was very serious this season on Gibbs, and so I understand why you drafted him. You want to give somebody a chance, and then obviously it didn't go as planned, but then we got to see them develop him, and it was finally an opportunity where somebody was like, everyone, not someone, everyone was like, Gibbs is going to go off this week, and then he finally did. It doesn't happen often where everybody's like, oh, this is going to happen because this player's out. It doesn't happen a lot, so.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, that hurt me and Deontay Foreman, the running back for the Bears. I know everyone talks shit about the Bears because they're not very good, but he's been I don't know. I picked him up a few weeks ago and I was gonna start him. I started him in week 6 against the
Yeah.
Vikings. He did okay, but I just couldn't against he was playing the Raiders. I was
Yeah,
like, no.
I know it's hard. It's hard when it's again, it's a home team. I actually was offered a trade for Foreman in a different league, and I didn't take it. I was like, I'm not interested, and we'll see where it
Yeah.
goes from here. But it's one of those situations where they were able to pull it out. And sorry against your Raiders. I don't know how we did it, but we did it. So we got
Yes.
Corey. Corey's in the house. How is it week 8 already? I
I
don't
know.
know. I don't know. How are we surviving? Just like how are we going to survive with some of these injuries? Let's jump right into it. What do you say?
Yes, sounds good.
All right, cool. So we've got, I think, a potential worry on Jalen Hurts. I don't think there's going to be an issue there. He played through it last week. He did fine. I think that we don't have to necessarily worry about Jalen Hurts. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't think we'll have to worry about him.
So we've got obviously Kyler Murray might be on the come up of coming back. It's not something that I would never. He's not going to come back this week, but in general, I just don't think it's somebody that I would like to play this year. I think that there needs to be some definite action I need to see before I even put him in my roster or hold on to him. Unless you're in like Dynasty and you want to hold on to him for next year, but.
Yeah, I agree. I will say though, the Cardinals are really missing him. He's very quick and fast, runs out of the pocket, quick agility, speed. They're just not the same without him. So that
Yeah,
is hurting
I
them bad.
I agree. So two other notable injuries. We've got Brock Purdy. They noticed that he had concussion symptoms. I believe on the plane is what they said. So we have, or after the game. So Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol. I believe. I think that's something that we need to look out for. And then Deshaun Watson. What are your thoughts on the shoulder and the very obscure information that we're receiving about Mr. Watson?
Mm, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard to tell because it's like the reports will say one thing and then literally the day of, it could be 5 minutes before the game, they'll be like, well, he's in now.
And you're like,
So
yeah. So they're talking about a rotator cuff injury. That's not something you want to mess with when it comes to a quarterback. Obviously, like anything shoulder involved, elbow, hand, anything like that. Um,
yeah.
there is a part of me, and I'm gonna voice it live here. Is a part of me that he's not doing well, and he is embarrassed. I will not say that he's not injured. I won't say that, but I think that there are some players that do hold out when they do have an injury, and they hold out longer just because they want to be 100%. I don't doubt that at all. But I also believe that when you're being paid an exorbitant amount of money and the eyes are all on you and the defenses are out to really get you specifically, I think that there's might be some fear in coming back, you know?
Yeah, definitely, and he was injured last year too, right? Remember?
Yep.
He's been injured for a while, so yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, exactly. I guess we can move on. We Ryan Tannehill. I don't think he's really that relevant anyway, unless you're in a deep league but in this current league in the Queen's Ransom, we are one QB league, so we don't necessarily need to worry about Tannehill. But Will Levis, we might see his debut. He might split time with Malik Willis, so that's something to keep an eye out for as well. I'm excited to see Levis jump on the field for his first time. So
Yeah, that'll be nice.
and then going into running backs, do you have any running backs that you are concerned about that you need to be able to play? I mean, we've got Jerome Ford. He was like the number one waiver wire pickup of the year. Everybody was talking, and now they're discussing a low grade ankle sprain for 1 to 2 weeks. But usually when they're, again, the words that they're using, it sounds like it's going to be longer. I don't know. As the number one waiver wire pickup, I mean, are we concerned about him coming back? Or, I mean, do you have any investment in Jerome Ford?
No, I don't have any investment in him, so I haven't really been paying too much attention on him. But I do have Saquon Barkley in one of my other leagues, and he's really been killing me. Like this guy's been injured for weeks. I think I drafted him in like third round. It was either the second or third round in my other league.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's been killing me. Now he's questionable again. Yeah, I don't know. I may try to make a trade with him.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. He's definitely, it might be one of those booms at the end of the season situation. I mean, we're at week 8. We're approaching midseason here for fantasy purposes, and it's grind time, right? And you can always go after players, teams that are like 1-6, 1-7. Like if you want to, 1-6. If you want to go after teams like that, I think it's a great target for some of the better players, especially if it's a redraft league. So
yeah, definitely.
I think Christian McCaffrey, he played through his injury this time. I don't know if we need to be concerned about him moving forward. Let's see. We've got Roshan Johnson. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you think about Bijan Robinson, the illness? Illness is so vague. It's like, does he have a cold? Like, what does that mean?
And it's like, once you get played, we see players play through massive injuries, right? We've got high ankle sprains. We watched Patrick Mahomes play through. We're watching Travis Kelce play through one. He had one of the best games of the season last week, and he still has a high ankle sprain. Those don't go away in 1 to 2 weeks.
No.
So it makes me wonder what kind of illness it is. And again, I feel like they would say if it was COVID, but I mean, we haven't even talked about COVID at all this season. So,
yeah.
I think he said, what did Arthur Smith say? His head hurts or something like that. Like he has a headache. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because they're humans, right? So we have to have that human element of like, all right, well, he don't feel good today. So
yeah, it's interesting. I just looked it up. It says NFL, this was published October 23rd, so 2 days ago. NFL will follow up with Falcons over failure to disclose Bijan Robinson's illness.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was I read something brief about that as well. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's another early draft pick, right? He was going in the first round. And it's like, I mean, we've seen some massive action, and then we've seen some definite boom bust. But a lot of our second to third round picks, running back specific, we've got a lot of injuries, and
yeah,
it's tough because now we're midseason, right? We're getting to midseason. We're getting to the point where we don't necessarily need to worry about where we drafted somebody. I've got people are throwing out offers for let's say Najee Harris. I'm willing to sell a little bit lower on Najee because he had a great game this week, and that's what I get for selling him early. But I waited 7 weeks to sell him, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't getting any return. So it's just one of those things. Like, just because I drafted him in the third round doesn't mean he's worth third round capital anymore,
100%. That's how I feel about Gibbs. I mean, Gibbs was even, speaking of injuries, he was even out for last 2 weeks, I think it was. He played last week, but the week 5 and 6, he was out injured.
Right. We
But
haven't seen a fully healthy Lions, team. And last week, all things considered, like they've been playing very, very well. Last week was just a mess, and I think they're playing at home this week, so I think that's something we can look forward to for all of because I believe a lot of us have a lot of Lions. Like there's a lot of Lions out there on our fantasy squads. So
yes.
I think Tank Dell. Okay, so we're going into wide receivers. Jalen Waddle has a back issue. I think he'll be fine as well. Christian Watson, we still need to be concerned about with that knee. I think he was re-injured, and then Tank Dell concussion. I believe he'll be back as well, along with Roshan Johnson. They both were in concussion protocol. They should be able to come back this week. Zay Jones, I don't know what's going on with him. Up, down, all over the place.
Oh yeah, I don't trust that. I think because they've been saying he's questionable every single week. Then he's out, he doesn't play, and then Trevor Lawrence was injured, and I don't know. The Jags are kind of all over the place. I feel like right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And as for we've got tight ends, we got Luke Musgrave, ankle. Gerald Everett was hurt this week with a quad issue, and then Dawson Knox is going to have surgery. So Dalton Kincaid, not that he hasn't been playing well, but now it is his time to turn up. So if Kincaid is available on the waivers just because of opportunities people had to drop for bye weeks or whatever they had to do, I think there is an opportunity there for a great game for Dalton Kincaid. And then let's just jump right into the waiver. Did you make any waiver claims this week in Queen's Ransom?
No, not this week, not yet. I'm still thinking, trying to figure out what I want to do, but I will probably make a move or two just because Justin Jefferson is on IR. So sad. He was carrying, I don't want to say carrying my team, but he was really pulling in the W's for me. And then I also have Pat Freiermouth on IR, which I mean he's tight end. He's he's good. He's solid, but he is a tight end, so I don't know if I'll need him.
Yeah, and that's the situation with tight ends, right? We don't know each week. Like if you have somebody that's top 12 relevant, like keep them around just because tight ends games are constantly up and down weekly, right? It's very it's very few and far between that we get consistency with the tight end, position. So it's one of those things, if you have to keep moving around, it's like me, like I streamed defenses and kickers all week, and it was beneficial to me last week as well to pick up and drop, and you pick up a Browns kicker and a Browns defense, they get you 42 points.
I know it's so crazy. So crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those weeks where you're able to kind of showcase that and let people know like this is something that you can do. There's that option is viable, right? It's all about the matchups. And now that we're starting to understand the teams, just like defenses and offenses are starting to understand the teams that they're playing, we have a better opportunity, So
yes, 100%. What about you? Did you pick up anybody on the waivers?
Let's see. You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm like, let's go ahead and jump into it. Let's share it. Let's share the screen.
Yes.
And we'll kind of show what's going on in the league. All right, so we've got we'll just jump into rankings real quick. So Stepmom Lauren has slid into the number 1 spot. Touchdowns and tight ends was holding that down. Granted, they're all tied, but we've got a big differential not too big of a differential. We've got Jenny's Wish, Miss Petrelli, aka Mrs. Wish, is shortly. Let's see. They're only separated by a few points. Stepmom Lauren is dominating with 100 points overall. And then we jump into a few 4 and 3s and then 3 and 4s. So, I mean, everybody, it's close out here for us. But let's check what we have for waivers. So,
how are you feeling about your team?
You know what? I'm just constantly making moves because I was not doing well. I think I was in 12th for the first 3 weeks. So actually, you know what? Yeah, I grabbed Daryl Henderson. So actually, that's a number 1 talking point, I think, for waivers this week, you guys. If Daryl is still available, what happens right now is that people are afraid that he is still on the practice squad because that is what he's listed as. But they have an opportunity to bring him up and then drop him back down to practice squad 3 times before they have to officially sign him onto the team. So it's something that they're doing just to prevent themselves from having to keep him on the squad in case, they need to make other moves. So Daryl Henderson, I think, is your choice. I was a little nervous this morning, and then I was like, oh, they can do it 3 times, so we're good there. But it sucks because everybody, I think we spent a lot of time picking up Zach Evans and then Royce Freeman, and everybody was up in the air for the Rams. And I don't know if you have it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I had so this hurt me. This hurt my home, but I had Keenan Allen, and in my other league I was desperate for a running back because like I said, I had Saquon, I had Gibbs, both of my starting RB1 and RB2, they were all injured. So I needed a running back. And so I traded Keenan Allen for Kyren Williams. And then he popped off on week 6 against the Cardinals. He had like 20 rushing attempts and a rushing TD, 158 rushing yards, week 6. And then literally he gets injured, and now he's out. So now he's on my IR. So I picked up Zach Evans, played him last week, and nothing, 0 points.
Yeah, it was really tough because it was one of those game time decision situations. And unless you're really in your phone, if you try to take a phone break on Sunday mornings, boy, it's rough because Saturday night, Sunday morning situations. Because I noticed that they said that Daryl Henderson and Royce Freeman were going to take the majority of the carries, and that meant all of them. So, so Daryl Henderson, if he is still available, let's see what we've got him. He's rostered now in 52% of sleeper leagues, that is, and 12% started. So I think people with week 8, we don't have any bye weeks this week, so people aren't as desperate, right? But I think we need to stock up for the weeks to come.
Where would you play him? In the flex, or you think he'd be a solid RB2?
Well,
RB3?
So for me, I think that he's definitely a flex, just because let's see, 18 attempts for 61 yards and a touchdown. You know what? And, he's our red zone carries. He's going to be the red zone. And, Royce Freeman is more of like a Daryl Henderson light, where his running routes is great, and he's a desperate play if necessary. So I think Daryl Henderson I think he's a great flex play for week 8 if you absolutely need him. But I think week 9 is where we're going to need to start making some moves. And keeping him around. So, and that moves on to Royce Freeman. If you need to, he's a desperate play. If he's available, you can grab him. Again, only if you absolutely need him. If you're just down for the count. I think, let's see, who else I think we've got Josh Downs from the Colts. Now, he's been performing. Let's see, does anybody have him in this league? Let's check it out. Watch, I have him. And I'm like, oh, no, nobody's grabbed him. So, Josh Downs, if you take a look here, we've got he's literally on the field for, almost 2/3 of the game, every game. He's making almost all of his attempts. If he's getting 6 to 8 targets, that's a viable wide receiver 3, right? Like,
yeah.
And I think that, last week he popped off, right? We got 125 yards. He's got 25 yards per carry. Jesus.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot.
Right. So we see his workload, not necessarily increasing, but we see his performance is getting better. So I think that he is a viable option as well. The fact that he's 67% rostered now, which is still insane to me that it's still that low, right? We're almost at where he should be at Michael Pittman levels,
Yes.
So
also, are you sharing your screen? Because I don't think the viewers can see.
Oh, no?
See it. No, because I can't see it. Our sleeper league. Oh, yep, there we go. Perfect.
Hey, we're winning. Tech win today. All right, so going back, as you can see here, we got Josh Downs. I just explained it all, obviously, but we've got, 2/3 of the game, blah, blah, blah. We can all see the numbers here, but 67% rostered. That's insane. I know that
is.
Yeah, right? Like, I don't know. It's crazy. But I understand in our league, we don't have much space. It's a short bench. So
yeah. I like that though, because in my other league, we have 9 bench spots and everybody's just hoarding everyone. And I feel like in a 6 bench league, you really have to be strategic about who you're keeping and who's worth keeping and who's worth maybe just risking it, dropping it for someone else to pick up,
I am with you 100% on that. Deeper leagues are tough because, you sit there and you have to debate not just on dropping on who's droppable, but you have to debate on like who you're going to play when you have multiple players that are going to do well. So
Yes.
we got a question from Tyler Bradley. He said, week 8, any top players you are looking to trade or players you are trying to trade for, and what moves could change the second half of the season? Well, that's a hell of a question. I like it.
Well, I can answer who I am looking to trade for. So I'm considering giving up Saquon for a top wide receiver if someone in my league is interested in Saquon. It seems like, everybody's like, oh, Saquon, big name. But I mean, like you said earlier, Amber, he could be one of those players that just pops off at the end of the season. But I just don't want to risk it with him. So I'm definitely looking to trade him. As for who, I'm not sure yet. I'll have to take a look. But yeah, definitely looking to trade Saquon.
Absolutely. Is there anybody that you're gunning for that you think it would really make a difference? Because right now you're at 3 and 4. I mean, we're all tagging right behind each other here. So there's an opportunity for you to jump back on top. So if we get rid of Saquon, you maybe want to package him with, let's take a look at your team. Let's kind of play with it for a second. So let's see. We've got, that's why I'm not up here. Do you have Saquon on this team?
No, Saquon's on my other league, but for this league, if I'm willing, like someone I'm looking for is really a stud wide receiver because Justin Jefferson's on my IR, so I'm hurting there.
You know what? And for me, I think, as you mentioned, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison has clearly shown his skill and his capability, and he's a league winner. So, Tyler, to answer your question, I think to trade for Jordan Addison is definitely a move that I would make. I don't think that we've seen the best of Josh Jacobs yet. I think for redraft purposes that Josh Jacobs is definitely somebody that's going to come back with a vengeance. He does not like losing. And you know that as a Raiders fan. I mean, how do you feel about Josh Jacobs moving forward?
I know. It's so hard because it's like, I don't know. It's just the whole Raiders team's off, and the coach, in my opinion, they need to get rid of the coach. It's just our team is all over the place. I think Josh Jacobs is a stud running back. I just don't think he's in the right program, to be honest. Like, I don't think he has the right support. We've seen his skills. We've seen he can, average 2 touchdowns a game last season. A season before that, he was doing a great job, but I just don't think this year is it for him. I mean, he's only on a 1-year contract too, so he's probably a little flustered.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think all the running backs definitely have some issues. I think that another player that's viable for league win is Etienne. I think that we all underestimated him going into this season. It started off a little slow, but I mean, he is really him and Trevor Lawrence connection is amazing. I think for me, droppable, like Najee Harris is somebody that I've been working on trading away. That's really important to me. I know that he had one good week, but for me, it's a consistency situation where if I drafted you that high, I think Jaylen Warren is going to be the man. And I really do think that he's got the agility to take the lead in that team. So it's a mess. We know the Steelers are a mess, but I have faith in Jaylen Warren. I'm riding him until the end of the season.
Yeah.
And then Breece Hall. Breece Hall is another person that I think, had a slow start. Obviously, we have some issues with the Jets, and I think that Breece Hall is definitely an option that you should be looking to trade for as a league winner for the rest of the season as well. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers came back this season, I don't even know. GW, Garrett Wilson. What do you think?
I know that would be. I mean, there are talks. I saw a clip the other day of him throwing the football. I think he's trying to come back.
Yeah, he came in. He wanted to show everybody. He wanted to make sure he was able to stand and walk for people, and kind of lift everybody's spirits. I love that about him. He's just a whole different person. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so then we're going to jump back into, thank you, Tyler, for your question. If you have any specific questions pertaining to your team, I'm in trade talks all over the place, so maybe they'll help me out too. All right, so let's move on to, let's see, we talked about, so DK Metcalf is out, but JSN might be a viable option for this week. I would be cautious, though, because DK will be back, right? And then Gus Edwards, he has been available. Let's take a look at Gus and where he is available, because he had a great week. See, he had a great week. We weren't able to necessarily trust him in the beginning of the season, but we've got 65% rostered. That's another player that I think if you're short on running back, he is an option this week as well. Going up against Arizona in Arizona, and then I think that the Ravens are really starting to come into their own. How do you feel about the Ravens? Lamar Jackson's been doing well. What do you think, Blondie?
Yeah, I do. I think Gus Edwards is slow to start, but I do think, I mean, just looking at his last week, he has put out that top 10 RB top 10 points. So I do think
Yep.
he has potential. It's just a matter of, play calling and what they do with him moving forward. So
Yep, I agree. Just like Deonta Foreman, same situation, right? I feel like it's kind of in the same boat where we see two booms and we're like, okay, what are we? I always like to give everybody 2 weeks, but it's like if you don't have 2 weeks to wait for a player to reach that ceiling or even a high floor,
yes,
I
yes,
gotta do what you gotta do. Um,
yes.
Question for you in trades, have you I've made a few trades lately where I have like seller's remorse. I know it's called buyer's remorse, but I'm like, or buyer's remorse, I guess, on my end of a deal. Is that like a FOMO thing? I have a fear of missing out on what the player I traded away might do. Is that for everyone?
Yes. Oh, trust me, I feel that exact same way. Like I said, I gave Keenan Allen away for Kyrene Williams, and Kyrene Williams gets hurt that same week that Keenan Allen popped off. I was like, no.
See, and that's what we can't determine, right? I had Nick Chubb. Somebody offered me, I think it was like GW and like 2 other players for Nick Chubb, and it was a week later that he had the massive injury. So, I mean, those are things
Oh
we just can't account
no.
for. Yeah, and he offered me the trade, and I rejected it. So that's on me. But I was like,
Though, I will have to. What were you gonna say?
I said it's Nick Chubb. Like, why would I give away Nick Chubb, right? Why would I sell Nick Chubb?
Oh, yes, 100%. But I will say though, I don't know, just from my experience of playing fantasy, I think a less risky trade is just trading for a top wide receiver versus a running back, because running backs they're way more injury prone than wide receivers, in my opinion, and just like what I've seen. So
Yeah, exactly. Since they're blocking they're just the shorter runs. It's like the defense is all over them. It's tough. So,
yeah.
and then moving on real quick, I do want to make an honorable mention to Taysom Hill. His route running has been phenomenal these past few games. He's averaged 59% of the snaps, 5.5 targets, 49.5 receiving yards, right? So his rushing production has been decent, and he could easily finish as a top 5 if Juwan Johnson isn't playing, but he might be coming back from the calf. So that's something to monitor. But if you're, again, short on tight end, or have an injury like Zach Ertz was hurt, and I believe you have Zach Ertz, Blondie. I think you
Yeah,
have
and guess what? He's
injury
on
too.
IR now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like literally my whole fantasy game, like my whole fantasy league, this league and my other league I'm in. It's just all injuries. Like I can't get away from the injuries. It's killing me.
Yeah, it's rough. So yeah, Taysom Hill is again honorable mention. Again, keep your eyes out. We don't know if Juwan Johnson's is coming back, but there's some opportunity there with if he is gone. And I don't think that it's going to demolish his opportunities if he does come back this week either. They might want to play it and start him slow. So okay,
Yeah.
so now moving on. Now we've gotten through most of what waivers should look like for you guys. I think kicker honorable mentions. Dustin Hopkins is definitely one. We see him here. Janae picked him up. He got 22 points last week, but we have to look at the matchup moving into next week, and we've got Seattle. Now, I don't think he's gonna get 22 points, but I mean he's had he's had a pretty good. He's had a lot of opportunities. We'll put it that way.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and he's been pretty accurate. So
I was gonna say, if Young Wei Koo is still on everybody's waivers, he's definitely a solid pickup.
and Kaimi Fairbairn as well is another option too. So with that being said, let's jump into let's see who let's do touchdowns and tight ends going up against NFL Rose. We're looking like it looks like some things haven't been moved around maybe quite yet. We have Justin Herbert against Patrick Mahomes. That's a week. I think that's going to be a phenomenal game because we've got the Chiefs are going up against Denver, which is a division rival. So, and you're familiar with this division. How do you think that game is going to look with the way Denver's been playing?
Oh, I know. I think it's going to be close. I think it'll be definitely a good game to watch. Could potentially go into overtime too.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Absolutely. All right, we got another question. Chaka, do you think Thielen can sustain his production the rest of the season? Adam Thielen, man, he was one of the first videos I did when he got traded. So after the NFL draft, and I was really happy that he was able to be moved and to be able to get more production. I do think that he'll be able to sustain his production. I think that they've built a really good rapport together, and obviously we know Bryce Young's all over the place and he's been injured. So I think that Thielen is reliable on a young team.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely do too. I was going to say, if you just look at his targets, week 6, 13 targets, week 5, 13 targets, 4, 8 targets, week 3, 14 targets. He is getting a lot of targets, and I feel like it seems like a lot of players that typically get high amounts of targets usually sustain. So 9 targets.
I mean, look at this man here. Yeah, this is. I really do think it can be this consistent, especially coming off a bye week too. A bye week mid-season for a veteran is. I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, I do think though Dallas. That's going to be a hard matchup for him. I don't know if I like that, but in terms of his other matchups, pretty good.
Yeah, you're right because we've got. I mean, look at the schedule, right? So, yeah, we've got Houston, Indy, and Chicago. I mean, Indy has been a little tougher on wide receivers, but other than that, I mean, we're going. So, like Nola, for instance, another thing too is that they're terrible on slot receivers. They're really good with the defense is good against perimeter receivers. But yeah, I think Thielen is definitely somebody to keep your eye out for. I think he's like low on the totem pole for people because he's older, and people
yes, everybody's always like, oh, the rookies, but it's like, I don't know. Thielen is solid. Like, I've always liked him, so I think he's solid. I like I said, the only game I don't like is against Dallas. I would probably not. It also depends on who he has in his bench, but
yeah, and I think that's the major bye week. But let's jump into. Oh, we got another question. So Tingley, nice name. Ayo. All right, y'all starting Flowers or Devontae Smith this week? Devontae Smith. Matchups look good for both. Whoo-wee. That's tough.
that's tough.
I have to think about that because, like, Devontae, I love Devontae so much, but there's been some inconsistencies with his targets as well. Let's check them out for this week. What do we have?
Yeah, I'm looking at Zay Flowers right now. So
all right, cool. Yeah, I don't have everybody's. For me, I'm going Flowers.
I was just gonna say that. Yes, I was gonna say Flowers. I like the matchup. I feel like fantasy, and like I said, I'm no fantasy expert here. I've been playing for a few years, but just in my experience, it's really about the matchups for some of these. Like it really is.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Washington, obviously we know it's Washington, right? We're pretty much starting everybody against, but it's also the Cardinals. So for me, I think Washington's defense is a little stronger than we like to give them credit for. And especially against the wide receivers. For me, I'm going Flowers.
Yeah, I'm going Flowers too. I mean, both matchups are good, but I do think Cardinals matchup is better.
Yeah. So Devonta's speed though is just it's so good, but there's so many targets, and Goddard has been eating into Devonta's targets. So to answer your question, Tingley, we're going Flowers. You know what? And then if we were wrong, you can come back and blame us next week.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get close to wrapping up here. So next week we're gonna really start. We started a new segment last week. Here we go. Hold on, let's see. what did he say? Typically wouldn't question this, but Devontae hasn't been yes. See, that's what's tough when you need to rely on the the high floor. It's tough because they're about equivalent, but I think Zay is starting to reach his stride, and Devontae's targets are getting eaten into. So,
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that's a tough question. But also, don't forget. So we're here on Fantasy Football Advice Network. So on Friday, let's see, after the game tomorrow, Friday, and Sunday, there's shows every night, and then Sunday morning, we have oh my God, what's the name of his show? I'm having a moment. Anyways, Wishlist has a show on Sunday, so come in and ask if you're feeling a little iffy when it comes to setting the lineup and getting that finished up. So, with that being said, real quick, I do want to wrap up. We were doing touchdowns and tight ends with against NFL Bros, because here's the thing, I'm going against. So basically, we need to knock these 5 and 2s down a peg, so that way we can move up, Blondie.
Yes.
So
yes.
Me, it's not looking great, but with Purdy, okay, so we're going to jump in. Jenny's wish, Purdy's not looking great with this concussion situation. And so Breece Hall's coming back after a bye. I love that. Pacheco against Denver, I think he's going to try to run all over them. Jonathan Taylor, he has been, I don't know. I have not paid any attention. I have no shares of Jonathan Taylor. I apologize, y'all.
Zach Moss has kind of been, I was going to say, like, I've been watching him a little bit. I don't have him, but first week back off his injury, Jonathan Taylor didn't do much, and Zach Moss kind of took the carry on that, or the load on that. But I don't know.
Yeah, so we've got Waddle with a potential injury, but hopefully he's just rested throughout the week. Garrett Wilson, again, coming off a bye, going against the Giants. I'm playing all the Jets against the Giants. They're just so injured and just damaged. Damaged right now.
Yes.
We got Hill and Waddle, actually. So technically, if I move that around, it would be Hill against Waddle. Olave was arrested, luckily for, I think, just speeding. I don't think that
he was arrested.
Yeah, he was arrested for speeding 35 miles over, but he cooperated. Yeah, I don't think he was drunk, so that's good.
Oh.
But he tried to. He was like, "Hey, I play for the Saints," and the cop was like, "And?" I was like,
oh. I did not hear about that. Okay.
Yeah, actually, so 2 rookies were not. Well, Olave's not a rookie, but 2 players were arrested. Justin Ross from the Chiefs was arrested as well for a domestic, for I think like $25,000 worth of criminal damage to property and like a domestic violence situation. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you can tell it's mid-season is in full form, y'all.
Yeah.
And then we'll wrap it up. So we got Hawk against Goddard. That's fantastic. Yeah, this is going to be a tough game. And I hate to hope people are out, but I'm hoping for the sake of my team winning and knocking some of these top guys down a little bit, and then you coming up, and then we kind of meet in the middle and we go against each other in the playoffs.
Yes.
So, but you guys, I want to thank you all for joining us. And Blondie, thank you for joining and coming in and just helping everybody out. We're starting to finally get some viewers. What's up? We'll be here every week on Wednesdays, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. So catch us next week with our new segment, Prince or Frog.
Yes. And you want to give him, you want to let him know about that?
Yeah. So Prince or Frog is going to be basically like a boom bust segment where do we have a player who hasn't really been performing up to snuff or up to where we drafted them at, and is the potential there for them to turn into, have they been a frog and can they turn into a prince? We shall find out.
Love it. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. All right, we'll catch you guys later. Thank you.